Hey guys, it's Audra and welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with another book haul. I didn't plan on doing one so soon since I recently did one, but in the month of December, we get our extra duty income, which is not income. It's like a little bit of extra fun money on the side for all of the basketball games and volleyball games, like those kind of things that I've worked. Now, for the most part, that money has already gone to like pay down some debt that I'm working towards meeting some goals with. But I did decide to do a book outlet order of like 20 books for like $100 and then a couple other books here and there to just kind of give to myself for Christmas. I don't even know. But let's just get into it because there are quite a few. Oops, sorry. But the first one is The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano. It is by Donna Freitas, and this is actually from the list I shared in the last video from the Mom Advice Book Club. This is the January pick, and it just is very fitting for kind of where I'm at in life, I guess, right now. Kind of not. So this is about a woman whose name is Rose, and her husband is Luke. And a long time ago, they agreed that they weren't interested in having children, and now all of a sudden he has changed his mind, and she's not sure that she's willing to change hers and take the prenatal vitamin she promised that she would take to him. And like, so it's going to be like the evolution of their relationship within trying to decide to have a family. So that will be an interesting one. And then another one I just grabbed also off of Amazon is The Journey Toward Wholeness by Suzanne Stable. I need to get my eyes checked. But this is the third one in kind of like a series of books about the Enneagram. So this is the wisdom for stress, balance, and transformation. And I've read most of the first one. I still need to read The Path Between Us, which is more about like within relationships with one another, how your Enneagram works. But this is like, now what do you do with the information once you know like which category or which type you fit into? Myself, I am a type 9, which is a peacemaker. I thought I was the 6, which I believe is the Loyalist. Loyalist? It's one all about like safety and stuff. And then, yeah, when I read that book, I realized like, oh my gosh, I'm completely something different. So these books do help out a ton. And this came up on my Instagram that it was like a new release. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get that. So I am trying to put a book, like a list of 12 books that are self-help-ish that I plan on reading in 2022 to like put out there in case anybody wants to like read along with me. But this I think will definitely be one because I just think there's always valuable information when it comes to personality types and how to relate to one another. So those are my Amazon books. I then have a book of the month box to share. I'm not an affiliate like everybody else here on BookTube, but they do have really good picks. And so these are the ones that I picked out. The one from this month is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I don't even remember what this is about. I basically had to pick one of these of the month so I could get the book that I really wanted and then the free book that comes with the like book of the year thing. So this is about Chloe Davis, and when she was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. Her father confessed to the crimes, and 20 years later, she's getting ready for her wedding. And then another girl goes missing. And so it's like, who is it? Is it really her father? All that kind of stuff. So sounds like a really good, I'm hoping thriller, but we will see how that goes. Then my free choice that I picked, because the book of the year came out and it was The 4 Winds by Kristen Hanna. I own this one from Book of the Month, but I have not read it yet, which I need to do. But they let you pick a different one off the list for free. I guess you could get 2 of the same one if you wanted. But I already had Razorblade Tears, haven't read that. And I wasn't really interested in reading the romances because I'm just not in that kind of mood right now. But this is The Lost Apothecary from Sarah Penner. This, it says, A Forgotten History, A Secret Network of Women, A Legacy of Poison and Revenge. Welcome to The Lost Apothecary. So this is definitely more my vibe right now. But basically, I can't quite remember. It's an 18th century secret apothecary shop, and They use well-disguised poisons to use against the oppressive men in their lives. And then it's like 200 years later, the Apothecary murders. It's definitely more like fantasy feeling to me, which is not normally my vibe, but everything else I could roll with. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the whole reason I had to get a book of the month was because I finally got my hands on Will Smith's new biography. And first of all, can we just like look at this art? This has got to be like one of my favorite cover arts of all times. Not just the fact that it's Will, but like, obviously colors are kind of my thing. So I wasn't going to get this because I never know with biographies if I'm going to like it or not, and if it's like really sounds like the voice of the person who wrote it, which would be Will. But then I saw him do a interview with Oprah, and the way she raved about it and like was so filled with emotion about it, I was like, okay, now I have to get it. And then too, the audiobook isn't like he reads it, so I'm gonna obviously pair this with the audiobook and we'll go from there. All right, so I'm gonna quickly roll through 20 books that I got from Book of the Month. We're gonna do fiction first, and then we will go into nonfiction because I'm super excited about some of these titles that will be on my like 2022 self-help-ish list. Anyways, let's go with, I'm just in no particular order. We have You Belong Here Now by Diana Rostad, Montana, 1925. It is 3 children on the orphan train. So one of my favorite books of all times is Orphan Train. It's right behind me. But so it is on that topic, just different author, different kids, and their stories. So definitely wanted that one. I've also had Give and Take by Ellie Schwartz on my list to read for the longest time since it came out. But this has to do with a 12-year-old named Maggie, and it's her new baby sister, but she's not for keep because Izzy is a foster child, or foster baby. She's going to be put up for adoption. You know my story at all. Foster care, adoption, like really, really important to me. But she's like secretly starts hoarding things as her way to cope with this as a young child. And so this is a middle grade. So middle grade March maybe? I don't know. We'll see. There's some more information that comes out about that. Anyways. Then I next have Save Steve by Jenny Hendricks and Ted Kaplan. So Save Steve, we'll see how it goes. It's about a kid with cancer, which as a cancer survivor, you never know. But basically they're raising money for this kid named Steve, who is diagnosed with cancer, and they try to like do like a GoFundMe or I don't know. They're raising money for him even though he's kind of a jerk or something. I don't know. I just really liked her first book called Unpregnant, which it says it's now on HBO Max, so I gotta look that up because that one was like all about this young teenager who got pregnant and like her struggle and like the process of like what it actually takes to have an abortion, especially in the southern states where it's banned in a lot of areas, and there's like all these loopholes to jump through. So she like tries to take things taken care of in Mexico. It was very eye-opening of like how women's rights is really challenged in our country, and so I just liked the way that it portrayed it through that young woman's eyes. And so I'm just interested to see what more of her writing is like. I guess we'll see. We then have The Woman in the Photo. So this is a historical fiction that goes between 2 timelines, which I love. We have 1889 and present day. So it's the life of 2 young women bound by heritage and history, and they are changed forever through one epic event. So, again, I've said recently, really big into DNA kind of genetic stuff right now, and she finds that present day Lise Parker's closed adoption is unlocked, and she sees this picture of this woman that obviously looks like her, and it, like they do this DNA test. I don't know. It sounded really good. Moving on. We Walked the Sky. How can you put down roots if you've never touched the ground? This is a YA, 1965, 17-year-old Victoria. There's a family circus, and then 50 years later, Victoria's 16-year-old granddaughter, Callie, is kind of doing the same thing. So it's across generations and their story in a traveling circus. Okay, we then have What Every Girl Should Know. This is the story about Margaret Higgins Sanger, and I can't quite remember. She is the one that advocated for women's rights and the founder of Planned Parenthood, and it's like written for a YA kind of level, get real, written for a YA audience. So I've had this on my TBR since it came out. The cover behind it is really cool, but I'm looking forward to reading that one. We then have Before I Called You Mine. This is another one that is very like close to like where I guess I'm at in life. I don't know. It all kind of blurs together. It says Lauren may be a romantic at heart, but after a decade of matchmaking and schemes gone wrong, there's only one match she's committed to finding right now, and that's the one that would make her a mother. So she's a first grade teacher, which I'm a teacher. She loves children, and it's led for a path of international adoption, which there's plenty of kids here that need adopted. But anyways, she has, for whatever reason, this requirements of the adoption agency is that she has to agree to remain single. And then of course there is Joshua, the substitute teacher, who comes into play. And is she going to choose becoming a mother, or is she going to choose Joshua, this new love interest? Next up, A Song for the Road. Saw this in Barnes & Noble a long time ago. I wanted it right away. Found it on Book Outlet and knew I had to have it because it was super duper cheap. It says 1 year after the death of her husband and twin daughters, Miriam has lost faith in humanity and herself. So she goes on like this road trip, I think, to like listen to all these songs that they like made or whatever. I don't know. It reminded me so much of like one of my favorite books ever, The Last Ride to Graceland, which I've talked about recently. But it's an unconventional road trip and what it means to honor the ones we love. So I'm not reading this anytime soon because the anniversary of my brother's death is next week and we're just not even going there. But next up is Language of Flowers. This is by Vanessa Diffenbaugh. This is one of my favorite books ever. I already own a copy of it, which is behind here. It's right behind me. But it's like the original like American version, I guess. This, I believe, this is the UK version of it, and it was on Book Outlet, and so I've seen it on Book Depository. I just wanted another copy of it. This one's pretty. Had to have it. We have The Mothers by Genevieve Gannon. This is about a couple who have tried IVF for 6 attempts, and then there's another couple at a fertility clinic. They have their own problems. IVF, they get the results, blah, 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 blah. It turns out that there's a mix-up in the IVF laboratory where their embryos are switched. So like the couple who wasn't successful in their IVF transfer, the baby that is successful is actually theirs kind of thing, which is terrifying. But of course I had to pick that up. And then the last one that's in the fiction box, because there were 2 boxes, is Secrets of a Charmed Life by Suzanne Messner. I've loved several of her books before. There's always like a fantastical twist in it, usually at the end. Sometimes I like it, sometimes it really makes me mad. But we're gonna try this one. We have present day Oxford, England, and then 1940s, historical fiction. It says, she stood at the crossroads, half aware that her choice would send her down a path from which there would be no turning back. But instead of 2 choices, she saw only one because it was the only one she wanted to see. That tells me nothing about the book. But I like her writing. We'll see how it goes. Nonfiction-wise, we're going to start with Simple Abundance. It's 365 Days to a Balanced and Joyful Life. So this is not technically a devotional, because it's not like there aren't Bible verses or whatnot at the top of it. It's maybe more like meditations or just like words of wisdom. So this is not the first time I've had this book. I've actually been reading from this one this year. This is like the 1995 version, which was recommended to me through Instagram, somebody I've followed for years. But it's weird how even though this is like almost 30 years old, spot on it is to present day for the most part. However, they did do an updated version, so I'm excited to use that in the new year. We'll see how that goes. This next one is Reinvent, Start Fresh and Love Life. This is a Christian book about finding your God-given potential when you start fresh. Obviously, starting fresh. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that and look forward to seeing what that one will teach me. We have The Girl in the Photograph, which is a short nonfiction, the true story of a Native American child lost and found in America. I've been learning a lot about how our country has treated the Native American people, including children who have gone missing through the foster care system. So that will be interesting, heartbreaking read for sure. We then have 2 books on the topic of like all like the parenting, like IVF, deciding if you want to do this kind of thing. This is like $1 something. Conceivability, what I learned from exploring the frontiers of fertility, kind of like just following different women going through IVF pregnancies. It's the eye-opening information about the medical, financial, legal, scientific, emotional, and ethical issues at stake. Whew, that's a mouthful. It's going to be an interesting eye-opening read since, I mean, I've been through half of it already. My eggs are harvested. They're in a freezer, but it's like an eye-opening experience to see what it's actually like once you have to go through it yourself. But going along with that, I saw somebody talking about this on Instagram in the cancer community, and I've been wanting to pick it up, and it was on Book Outlet. So this is The Panic Years, Dates, Doubts, and the Mother of All Decisions. So it's kind of just a nonfiction book about what it means when a woman begins to ask herself, should I have a baby? So it walks through like being in your late 20s, early 30s, when the pressure of motherhood is being put on you by everybody, including yourself, just knowing where you are in life. And so that's an important decision to be making, especially if you're considering doing it on your own, I guess. I do have the little book of foster care wisdom, 365 days of inspiration and encouragement for foster care families. I've had my foster care license before. I didn't have a chance to use it because my brother passed away and then I moved back home. It was a thing, but I'm considering looking into doing that again. I know the first month, from what I've heard, it's just like short snippets, is like making sure like that's something that you're actually interested in. So we'll see how that goes. The next one is Worry-Free Money, the guilt-free approach to managing your money in your life. There are a lot of good reviews about it, and this is one of my goals for 2022. And so we'll see how it goes. It might be on that list for things that I read and you can read with me kind of thing. These two, well, this one for sure will be on it. And that is Break the Good Girl Myth, How to Dismantle Outdated Rules, Unleash Your Power, and Design a More Purposeful Life, which I feel like I'm kind of halfway there, but it's like, okay, now that I've made this decision to kind of do things more on my own, I guess, like what is that going to look like? So it talks about the myth of rules, perfection, logic, harmony, and sacrifice. Yeah, another one I saw on a bookshelf in a bookstore and wanted, and now I have it for much cheaper. And then the last one is Pick 3, You Can Have It All, Just Not Every Day. So this is a book that's all about like, you can't achieve everything to perfection all the time, and so like just pick 3 things that are important to you in the moment instead of choosing everything all at once, which is something I think a lot of people struggle with, because you want to be the best you can be, but once you try to do it all at once, it just like crumbles. And so yeah, I'm excited to see what things do I prioritize first. But those are all the books that I recently hauled. Would love to hear your thoughts, opinions, if you've read any of these, if you'd like to read it with me, and we'll see what I haul in the new year. You never know. But until next time, bye guys.